Hello folks, welcome back to GingerLion's modded Minecraft Let's Play. This will be episode 16. So, I know I'd been talking about a little bit of stuff related to making some fuel oil. I've actually gone and collected a little bit more oil and got myself a tank with 3 million buckets in it, but that's dropping because I'm refining it as fast as I can into fuel over here. Got some refineries running back there. Also, the sharp-eyed viewers may have noticed last time that some of these item ducts were not lit, so I went ahead and replaced the redstone wiring there with redstone torches and found myself a couple more berry bushes. So this all ought to be operating at a little bit more efficiency, but in the process, I filled up my entire forestry chest up here. This had been completely full with this apatite, which is wonderful stuff, which can be used to make fertilizer. So was making the decision that it was time for me to make fertilizer when I started looking at some of my other chests. I realized how very, very full all of them are. And so, while I'm gonna finish here making fertilizer and fill this barrel up with fertilizer, I am also going to, this episode, switch to something that, well, I've wanted to do for a long time, but I've just kept off camera and haven't talked about because, quite frankly, it's, well, it's a little bit more complex than anything that I've taken on up till this point in terms of a build and in terms of description. And so I held off. But looks like, given the state of my storage and sorting system, that it's time for me to tackle it. It's time for me to build an ME system. What does that mean? Well, there's a mod. Where is it? Called, where is it? Sorry, not ME, AE, called Applied Energistics. It has in it these things called storage drives, and they are pretty much what they sound like. They are storage devices that store your items digitally. They have a crafting monitors and storage monitors and various ways of interacting with things. This is not explicitly a replacement for my current sorting system. It is, however, a replacement for the way that I handle storage and retrieval of my items. So, I'm going to finish with this here fertilizer making, and then we're going to get started on a little bit of AE. I'll be right back, folks. Hello, folks. So, I crafted myself up all of the fertilizer that I could, which I'm going to use relatively soon, when I can, in a farm. And you'll note I made 96 stacks of it. Glad I'm storing that in a barrel. So, the first thing that we need to build our ME system is our ME controller. This is sort of the device that attaches it to power, attaches this network of devices to power, and allows them to all interact together. It's sort of the center of the network. So the recipe looks pretty complicated. Now, Fluix crystals are nether quartz, certus quartz, and redstone. You'll notice I got a bunch of those in my inventory. We can get to that pretty easily. Redstone's over in a barrel right over there. However, the item that it needs is an ME advanced processor, which is a smelted recipe, which is made from a quartz cutting knife. That's easy. And silicon. So basically, silicon is made by smelting either the nether quartz dust or certus quartz dust. Well, I happen to have a bunch of certus quartz dust, and I know I'm going to need a bunch of silicon. So I'm going to come over here to one of my furnaces. Actually, I'm going to split it amongst all four because I'd like this done very quickly. And I'm going to toss 16 in each of these four furnaces, and that's going to produce me the silicon that I need. And it's going to come out into the system, and since it doesn't necessarily know where to go, it's going to go upstairs to my chest. So, might as well go upstairs and get it. While I'm at it, I'm going to need to make the cutting knife, the quartz cutting knife that's used right here. So what's that recipe? An iron, 2 quartz, and 2 sticks. Well, let's go ahead, do that while the smelting's happening. In my ores chest, I guarantee there's lots of iron. There's lots of everything. I think I might have some sticks somewhere around. No, doesn't look like I do. So why don't I just make some? Relatively soon I'm going to have to think about some automated crafting, but not today. So, over here to my bench. ME pattern, advanced processor, assembly. There's the knife that I need. I only need one, but I think I'm going to make a second and a third because I'm going to use them later. Do they stack? They do not. Okay, so back to here. I need diamond, redstone, and that silicon that I theoretically just made. Let's see if it ended up in here. It did. Let's wait until it's all here, because it's just about ready. There we are. There's the full stack. Time to go get myself some redstone. I'll just take a couple of stacks. Do like barrels. And some diamonds. What do I have in terms of diamonds? That's gonna be in this chest? Yep. Plenty of diamonds. Good. Glad to hear it. So now, let me just take a moment and look at a couple of other recipes. I'm going to be using these advanced processors several times in the future. Let me just look. It's storage cells. I don't need spatial storage cells right now, but storage clusters and storage blocks I'm going to need plenty of. And when it comes to ME crafting, I'm going to need that. Let's see, is there anything else? Fuzzy import buses, I'm going to need them. So I'm going to go ahead and make myself a dozen of these processors. Make it 16. The game likes numbers like 16. So let's start with, how do I build this? Just like that. So, again, let me look at that recipe, because it looks like I'm going to have to put it in manually. Knife, 2 redstone, diamond. I only want to make 16 of these, so let's do that. Quartz cutting knife, and silicon. That should make 16 of these processors. Good. I know I'm going to have to make gold versions of this processor also relatively soon, so in fact I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let me see. Here is the recipe for it. Exactly the same except gold. I should have gold now. I certainly do. Let's make 32 of these and put, I may need diamonds again soon. So, okay, so we're making 32, which means this splits evenly. And here's the knife that I already used some of. That knife's almost dead, which is perfect. So, now, I happen to know that these require smelting in a furnace after they've been created. So, again, I'm going to take them over here and toss them in my furnaces, and I'm going to split them up into groups to make them process faster. There's 16, 16, and 16. I have an Enderman creeping around in my base, moving dirt blocks. I really don't approve of this. So what I'm going to do, take my trusty ender pouch, get my sword out of it. I don't want to face these guys without a sword. Come over here and punish him for the temerity of wandering into my base and messing with things. I don't like that. I hope he will come right back so that I can stab him some more. Doesn't look like he's gonna. That's sad. Okay, well, let's at least take this dirt block and put it back, because I don't like holes in my walls. Enderman. Always trouble. Might as well patch my wall while those processes are finished cooking, so I can see they're still cooking. Let me wander over here and patch this. I think I can hear him screaming. but that's fine. If he's unhappy, then I'm happy. Okay, so at least the first batch is done, so there'll be processors available. Why don't I go upstairs and continue on with this production process? Yep, right here in the overflow chest, there's 16 of these. Now, back to the ME controller itself. I need this processor that I just made and 4 of these Fluix crystals. Well, those should be easy enough to make. Now, I don't need to make a full batch of these. What was it about that recipe? Shift question. Nether, Certus quartz, nether quartz, and redstone. I'm only going to make 4, because I don't believe these... No, I'm wrong. They are used in at least a couple of other applications, but nothing significant. So, looks like we're finally to the point where we can build ourselves this ME controller. Now, do I not have iron? I don't have any iron on me. I'm sure that there's plenty available. And there's my ME controller. So, the ME controller needs to be attached to power. Ha! You did come back. Well, I don't like how you're treating me or my base. So, you Enderman and I need to have a little conversation. Come back, Mr. Enderman. They go down a floor? Nope. Okay, well, anyway, back to what I was saying. These need to be attached to power. And I've been trying to decide exactly where I want these situated. I think that over here at the end of this line should be just fine. So, let me get myself a couple more of these redstone energy conduits. And I have my pickaxe and my shovel with me. No more Enderman? No more Enderman. Okay. I'm sure they'll be back at some point soon, but I don't need to worry about them. So, what I want to get to is that. And, quite frankly, that's just fine. I'm going to move it out one more just to make sure that these two systems don't interact when I don't ask them to. So, here is my ME controller. And now, really all it does is say it's online. At the moment, it's connected to absolutely nothing. It's got plenty of energy stored in it, so that's not useful. Well, it needs to be connected to some things to be useful. The first thing that I intend to connect it to is an access terminal. So now I have to make a whole bunch of new things, right? Yes, I do. Luckily, I've made a lot of them before, so first I need to make this conversion matrix. I'm pretty sure that with the gold processors I have upstairs, that I'm basically already ready to make this. Let's grab these gold processors and make ourselves an access terminal. That needs conversion matrices. What am I missing? I don't have Fluix dust. Okay, so this is going to require a little bit more work. Unfortunate, but realistic. So let's see. I have Certus quartz dust, but I don't have any nether quartz dust, and that's because when you mine nether quartz, it doesn't necessarily drop nether quartz dust. Boy, my inventory is almost completely full at this point. That's fine. I don't need these anymore. Might as well toss them back in. And I'm probably not going to need all of this. There we go. Things are a little bit better. I hear Enderman zipping around, so I decided having my sword handy when I came down here was a good idea. No, nothing. Okay, so I was saying, when you mine Certus quartz, you get Certus quartz dust often. When you mine nether quartz, you almost never get nether quartz dust. So, what am I going to do about that? Well, it produces me a little bit of a problem, because at the moment, do I even have a pulverizer available? I do. I have this one set up for manual use. It's turned back but that's fine. So I'm going to toss a stack of nether quartz in here and get myself some nether quartz dust. Now, that's enough for me to show you what I'm about to do, so I might as well get started. Now, I know that right here is fluix dust, and I'm going to end up using a lot of it. Now that I have some, let's see if I can make the conversion matrix that's at the center of this. 4 of them. I'm going to need lots more than that in the future, so that's just fine. Now, again, back to the access terminal. It's going to need some glass, which I'll grab, and cable, which clearly needs more fluix dust. That's why I left more of this in here. I'm going to go ahead and make myself as much fluix dust as I can out of what I have in my hand, and then I'm going to make myself that cable. But that's going to take some glass, so clear out a slot in my hand, come on over here to my barrel of glass, and grab myself a stack. So far, you can't even see why I'm making this, which is, I understand, but it's sad for me. Let's make a bunch of cable. I'm going to end up using a whole bunch of it when I rewire my entire base, just a little bit. There is the access terminal. And again, this is a very useful thing. This is necessary for the regular use of this system, but when I put it here, it doesn't have anything, because at the moment we're not connected to anything storage-wise. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, actually, let me move this, just because I don't like where I placed it. I like to be able to see the power display on my system. So this is basically, this is your interface to the system, but we still need to store some things. Well, next thing I need to make is this ME drive, which is 2 basic processors, both of which I have, iron, glass, and a chest. So I'll go get myself a chest. In fact, I might as well make 2 of these, because I know I'm going to need them at some point in the future. So let's go get 2 chests. I'm pretty sure that I have some chests hidden about somewhere. There we are. 2 chests. I know, folks, this is a bunch of things, and you can't see why I'm doing it yet, but in just a little bit, it'll make perfect sense. Let me drive. Am I missing anything? Let me make sure I have enough iron. Sort my inventory a little. Nope, it won't do it automatically. So let's see. I need... Oh, that's why, because I'm out of glass. Apparently, a stack of glass was not enough for everything that I wanted to do. Sometimes that elevator gets just a little bit touchy. That makes me frustrated. But it's such a wonderful transportation device that it's worth it being a little nitpicky. Now, let's try this again. ME drive. Haha, there we are. There's the 2 of them that I wanted to make. So, again, this isn't going to finish allowing me to show you what I want these for, but we'll get a good start made. ME drives, when connected to the system, allow you to slot storage drives. Now we're finally getting into the original reason that I built this whole thing. I need some storage drives. So how do I make storage drives? Well, let's start with the most basic of storage drives, which is... where is it? The 1K storage drive. Iron, redstone, glass, and a storage cell, which is made of those basic processors that I showed you, and Certus quartz. So, let's go ahead back over here. In fact, I'm going to break this table and move it, because I'm going to do a lot of my crafting over here for a little while, and it's easier than walking back and forth across the room just to get to this table. Go ahead and place it right here out of the way. Oh, nope. Apparently, my basic logistics pipes want to connect to it. That's fine. Okay, so, now, back to creating a storage drive. A storage drive is made effectively out of these storage cells. So let's go ahead and make some. Now, do I want to make a full 17? Let me just take a minute and look at what this gets used for. It gets used to make a storage drive. It also gets used to make a storage segment. What's a storage segment for? Well, storage segments go in these 4K drives. Let me see. So, but that's going to, if I wish to do that, it's going to use up another basic processor. So I could make some more, but I think what I'm going to do is start by making myself enough drives to fill up one cabinet. And if I'm correct, I need one more. Recipe, bing, 10. There's 10 of those. Now, if I have enough materials, which I might or might not, we'll find out, I can make 8 of these drives. I can only fit a couple in my hand. So, now, let's go ahead and slot these drives in. I'm going to make the other 2, and slot them in. Now, each of these drives will hold 1,024 bytes of 63 types. What in the world does that mean? Well, let me show you an example. I'm going to put 1 Certus quartz in this system, and this drive used up 9 bytes of one type. Well, what happens if I put another one in? It's going to use up 9 more bytes. It's going to use no more bytes. Let me just make sure. See, none of the other drives have anything in it. No more bytes. Why? Well, let me toss a whole stack in here. A whole stack used an extra 7 bytes. Well, what happens if I toss a whole bunch more in there? There we are. 48 bytes used to store 317 items. This is what an ME system is wonderfully designed for. You can put anything you want in your ME system, and when you go to get it, all you got to do is type in the name or sort in any of these reasonable fashions. And all it gets stored on these drives. You don't have to necessarily worry about how. Now, in the end, you want to do a lot of work related to how you lay out your system. But this effectively becomes one super gigantic storage chest that you can access just by clicking on the terminal. And you can run wires up there and connect it up nice and pretty and access it anywhere you'd like. There are lots of other features to it, but those are the basics of the ME system. So, let me do just a little bit more housekeeping, and I'll be right back. Okay, folks, I'm about ready to do a magic trick, at least as far as I'm concerned. So, let me show you what I'm going to do. First, I've connected a basic logistics pipe here. I'm about to reconfigure my logistics system into where it delivers things. So what I need to do to interface these two systems with each other is to make a thing called an ME interface. This is it up here. It has these cubes on its side. And that's its recipe. What the ME interface does is allows ME to interface between itself and anything else. Now, if I were to set up this for import or export, that's fine. What I want it to do is I want it to accept items. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to set this to the default route. What does that mean? Well, remember when we configured this whole system, we set up this chest here as the default route. And I don't want it to be the default route anymore. I'm tired of all the extra items that I have ending up in here. So let's turn default route off on this and start stuffing stuff in it. Now, the one thing that we're going to have to change is this. We need, where are they? Thought I had some extractor modules. I do. So, what we need to do is this. We need to replace this quicksort module with an extractor module. Now, why would I do that? Well, what an extractor module does is it extracts everything from the chest by force, even if it's sent to the default route. The quicksort module will sort things out of the chest if it has a good place to put them. This will sort them out of the chest whether it has a good place to put them or not. Just a moment. Did I do that right? Advanced Extractor Mark III. Should be pulling things out of that chest right now. Let me see if I can figure out what's going on. First, let me take out the item sync module. I don't need that anymore. Let me go make sure I set the default route correctly. Come on. This is sparkling like crazy, which makes me think that the default route is set correctly. Yep, that's set for a default route. This should be allowed to import things. Things should start showing up there. Now, let's go see if I can figure out why nothing's being sorted. Okay, folks, I'm going to step off camera for a little bit and see if I can figure this out. And I'll be right back. I swear it has been 5 seconds since I turned the camera off. Turned out that the advanced extractor module need to be set on excluded instead of included. And as soon as that happened, everything that I threw in here disappeared. And that's wonderful. Let me make sure that it appeared where I want it to. I'm sure that it did, but see all those items flowing in there? Well, if I click on this, there are all those items. If I click over here, my first drive in the system only has 486 bytes with 42 types. That's the entire contents of that chest. Well, that's wonderful. Well then, what else do I want to do? Well, I'm going to do something that I consider magnificent and just a little sneaky. That's this. First, I don't need this chest anymore because there's nothing in it. But I like this spot. So I'm going to put this on it. And everything's going to come out. And then I'm going to break it and use the gravity gun to put the next chest in place. So what I'm doing is I'm forcing my logistics pipe system, one by one, to empty each one of these chests into my new ME system. And because it is the default route, I just heard an explosion, and I don't like explosions near my house. And I notice my entire AE system now has switched to red. Let's see what's going on, folks. Everything seems good down here. There are lots of items in here. None of my drives are over full. Everything seems fine on this side. Those pipes are all okay. There's some flint sitting here on the floor. I think that I just had a creeper explode somewhere outside my house. I hope my house didn't take any damage in the process, but that explosion was awful close by. No, but doesn't look like my house took any damage. Well, never mind then. Back to what I was doing. You'll notice I have a whole bunch of ores in my inventory right now, which makes me think that my ores chest didn't completely empty, or that something did go wrong in my sorting system. And I think I know exactly what it was. Let me go look. Let me go switch into bat form, and we'll go take a look. This is a problem with almost all of the logistics pipe systems. Yep, you see that hole right there? Not sure if you can see it. Let me fly up to it so that you can see. all of the pipes in the Buildcraft piping system have a maximum limit on the number of items they can have traversing them at any given moment. Well, it looks like I just hit the limit on the stone transfer pipe's ability by piping too much stuff to it too quickly. I'm prone to push a system to its limits, and there you see is what happens when you push it to its limits. There. Now I fixed it. And I'm going to go back to doing exactly what I was doing, which is pushing it to its limits. I don't mind if I have to occasionally come in here and repair this system to get it to do what I want, because, well, in the end, what I want is for it to transfer all this stuff out of the system. That's fine. If I have a mishap or two in the process, I'll live. Now, let me eat some more food. Go back to what I was doing. Now this chest is empty. I can go back to my lion form, destroy that chest. Oops, I didn't really want to destroy that logistics chassis. I wanted the advanced extractor module in it. I wanted it set to excluded so that it will take everything except what I listed, and I listed nothing, and move my Ars Magica chest over here. There are all the items coming out of it. Wait. No explosion. Good. Next chest. Now I could theoretically just go and move this module from place to place, but I absolutely adore the gravity gun. I adore this feature of being able to move things around, and I like the fact that the way the logistics network is set up, it doesn't matter what chest it is, it matters what location it's in. This amuses me, and I really like finding new ways to use tools, and the gravity gun is a wonderful tool in this game. Look at all those wonderful items. That's being sucked right out of my chests and being put where I want them to be. Looks like it blew up again. I'm going to go downstairs and fix it again. You notice it's the exact same pipe. You know what? I think that's because that run is just a little too long, but that's fine. It's going to happen a couple of more times, I'm sure. And that's okay. I don't mind. I haven't lost any items. I've only had to go repair some things. Now let me go take a look. Now you'll notice. See how 3 of these drives are lit up orange and 1 is lit up red? The red means it's completely full, and the orange means it's got a bunch of stuff in it. But other than that, the rest of these drives are just fine. I've got a huge amount of stuff now in this system, all just sort of mishmashed together. But if I want iron, I type iron. And there is my iron, and my dark iron, and my blocks of iron. It's really nice, if you can remember the name of the object that you're talking about, to just be able to click on it like that. So, back to what we were doing? Yes, back to what we were doing. Okay. Listen for an explosion. No explosion. Good. Now, because I don't want these pipes to accidentally do anything, I'm going to go ahead and break them. They are now no longer connected to the system. There's no power being used in their use, etc. This also allows me to collect back these cards and these chassis, which will be nice because at some point in the future I will be using them. This logistics system is not going away. I'm just doing away with its use for storage. It is still There it blows again. It is still one of the most powerful systems available for me for crafting purposes. Now, I'm going to, just because I don't want this to keep exploding, I am going to go misuse a pipe. What I'm going to do is this. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to, actually, I'm going to go over here and get the right pipe rather than wasting my time. I want basic logistics pipes. Now, usually I would not use a logistics pipe in this way. You'll note, by the way, I can also shift-click and just drop things into this inventory rather than, you know, going through all the effort of carrying them back and forth. All I have to do is drop it in, just as if it were a chest. But anyway, I don't really want this to keep exploding, either on camera or in general, and so what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to replace several of these sections of pipe with actual logistics pipes. Logistics pipes are going to send items through much faster, and so we're not going to have this same issue of too many items piling up. What it's really caused by is the items slow down in the pipe, and so they pack together, and therefore at some point it passes the maximum number of items that are allowed to be stored in that pipe, and it blows up. Why Space Toad in configuring his pipes that way? I guess it makes sense. You don't want any system to be overloaded, but I don't like explosions. There we go. So what I did is I replaced those with full-scale logistics pipes, which will travel at a much higher speed. Things will not compact the way that they were. By slowing down, they compact into one segment, and therefore I won't have the problems that I was having. Let's just finish all this off. Two more. Put it in the wrong place. And now I can tear out the rest of this logistics pipe system because I'm not going to use it up here again. I have absolutely no purpose, really, in having a logistics pipe system up here. It's going to become the backbone of my construction process, but I don't really need it up here in my base. So let's go ahead and remove all these pipes so that the logistics process doesn't even remotely get confused by them being here. And I'm not going to remove them all right now. I'll do that off camera. But we can come over here and see that I have now used up possibly half of the storage space, a little over half of the storage space that I had put in my ME system. And I now have all of the stuff in here that I had originally had in those chests upstairs. All of those chests have now been compacted into this one system. If I want a logistics pipe, if I want a export extractor, if I would like a dark iron bar, if I want some gold, if I would like to see what blocks I have, all I have to do is type them in and they show up here immediately. So there we are, folks. That's the basics of setting up an ME system from Applied Energistics. I am going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. Next episode, I will begin discussing replacement of barrels and some expansions to this system that will allow me to use it much more effectively. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you next time. Folks, I also wanted to do a little bit of an add-on at the end of this video. I know that that's a little unusual, but you'll notice all these are back down to green. and that the number of types and whatnot has dropped dramatically, that's because I did a little bit of fixing. One of the things that's worth doing when you set up an AE system is going through the list of things in it and pulling out anything that's unique. Let me give you an example. I would normally pull out this quartz cutting knife. I know I'm going to be using it very soon, so I didn't. This resonant flux capacitor. They are unique items. If you come in here, things like steel leggings, anything with a damage bar attached to it, any of your bees, anything that doesn't stack well, anything like these hardened tanks that store what's in them, all these things store very poorly in an AE system. They take up a lot of bytes, and they generally clog up your system. So what I do when I set up a ME system like this from Applied Energistics, is the first thing I do is I set the sort by to number, sort in the opposite direction you'd expect from low to high, and I go through and I pull out all the things that I have that are particularly unusual or unique, and once I've got them, I take them and I put them in a chest off to the side. I know I can get at these things by hand when I need them, and my ME system has a lot more storage and capacity in it. Just wanted to point that out to you guys. Oh, another neat thing that it's worth pointing out, if you attach to your ME interface, I switched over to using a logistics chassis. I'll show you why. Because I wanted to put a provider module in here. What this does is allows the ME system to give to this network, to the logistics network, anything that the logistics network needs. For example, if I put ores in it, they'd end up here up in my ores chest, that sort of thing. Also, it allowed me to, anything that's requested here at this ender chest is automatically going to get grabbed and shipped over there. Also, I attached back here at the back, you probably can't really see it, but I put my cursor over it. It's the request logistics pipe. What this does is allows this ME system to request things for the logistics pipe system, like, you'll note up here, my redstone, my coal, my obsidian, all these things that are in barrels over there. And I intend to do away with that at some point, but for the moment, again, it's extremely useful to be able to come over here to one place and request the things that I need for a crafting recipe. So, wanted to point those things out to you folks. I'll see you next time.